I'm sorry about not dealing with this subject yesterday. It dominated Channel 4 News and it dominates the newspapers this morning about this chilling expose that casts a long shadow over the Special Air Force and the Special Air Services and the Special Boat Services. And the independent inquiry at the moment going on into the business in Afghanistan has unveiled allegations of extrajudicial killings, cover ups, a culture of impunity in the British Army, what some have disturbingly referred to as a golden pass for murder. And these revelations, emerging from testimonies, emails, memos, present a harrowing portrait of the Special Forces' conduct between 2010 and 2013. The people who are testifying do so under the threat of some sort of recrimination. They say that they are scared. Now, from what I can see, almost all the testimony is second-hand. Nobody is actually saying, I witnessed or I killed somebody. But the second-hand testimony is compelling. The inquiry centres on allegations that the SAS operated alongside the law during its missions in Afghanistan, and according to whistleblower testimony, there was an unofficial policy to target fighting-age males, regardless of the threat level, regardless of their actual age, which means some of them are incredibly young anyway, to fabricate evidence and to execute the detainees. Witness N1799 described a macabre ritual where photos of deceased individuals were staged with planted weapons, euphemistically referred to as Mr. Wolf operations. And that's an allusion to Pulp Fiction's fixer of problems. It isn't just about rogue actors, but about a failure in the system itself. Senior officers, emails have revealed, expressed doubts about operational reports, yet these concerns were stifled under a culture of shut up, don't question. Even Afghan allies, deeply angered by perceived war crimes, temporarily withdrew their cooperation, a dramatic act in the perilous context of counter-insurgency. You know, here we've got a campaign in the heartland of Rudyard Kipling's beloved Afghanistan, and it comes down to a sort of roll up your trouser leg and shake hands issue of a brotherhood of death, a secret society, and we know which one it is, don't we? And you know, the finger points where it will, and this is not good. Yet another nail in the coffin of British reputation. Witness accounts detail grotesque methods, pillow suffocations, falsified evidence, and the cold execution of detainees, including individuals as young as 16. These are not isolated incidents, but as one senior officer put it, the SAS is regular bedfellows, and that such practices allegedly occurred under the banner of British military operations. It's a stain on the nation's moral standing. It's a stain on all those little fellowships, all those secret societies, particularly the Freemasons, that can do so much better. But in the end, that's what it comes down to, this idea that there are groups of people who are above the law, who are above accountability, and more than that, who are above basic moral prudence, basic moral standards. Because the law doesn't catch everything. But people who are putting pillows over young boys' heads and then pretending that it's some sort of killed in action when they know it isn't. How do they live with themselves? What I find so extraordinary is not that there are people testifying in this inquiry and that they're testifying they've heard, that they know of something they haven't seen, and they aren't the people who did it. What about those people who saw? What about those people who did it? Why aren't they testifying? Do they have no moral core? Is that what our country has come down to? That we are ruled, controlled by people who have the moral compass of a fecal mass. That is what it comes down to. Where are these people? Why aren't they testifying? And that this leadership vacuum, this accountability vacuum. And one officer admitted there was a massive failure of leadership then and now. And the SAS's high-tempo operations, fresh from Iraq, were apparently driven by kill counts, a metric fundamentally antithetical to the ethical principles of moral warfare. Support staff sceptical of operational reports were reprimanded rather than heard, while senior officers feared repercussions for voicing dissent. In essence, the chain of command either enabled or ignored these atrocities. I don't really know what else to add except to detail the stuff that I read this morning, the stuff that I heard on Channel 4 last night. The implications of these revelations are profound. First, they tarnish the reputation of the UK's armed forces, traditionally seen as paragons of professionalism. These allegations undermine the legitimacy of military interventions, and they cast doubt on Britain's adherence to international law. This is the same sort of stuff that we are accusing Russia of performing in Bucha. And we were there first. Secondly, the inquiry focuses on the need to confront the limits of oversight in clandestine operations. How do we balance the necessity of operational secrecy with accountability? Can a force trained for extreme circumstances ever truly integrate the restraints demanded by law? This inquiry serves as a painful reminder of why adherence to the Geneva Conventions and other international norms is non-negotiable. War is inherently brutal, but the laws, when the laws are ignored, soldiers become not protectors but predators. And the language of flat-packing human beings and casually staging crime scenes reveals a dehumanization that corrodes not just the soldiers, but the institutions they serve. And as the inquiry continues, it is necessary for us to answer difficult questions. Were these actions the result of rogue elements, or was there a deeper rot? Is there a deeper rot within the institution? If accountability is not enforced, the UK risks more than reputational damage. It risks the erosion of the very principles upon which its armed forces stand. Is this what it means to act in the name of the Queen, or now to act in the name of the King? To serve King and country? Is that what it means? To kill a child by smothering him with a pillow, simply because of his gender? Is that what it means? How do you identify how old somebody is? Do you ask them first, how old are you? When's your next birthday? Happy birthday, pillow. Is that what it means? And if the police are doing this, what about the other forces? What about the police? Can we trust what goes on in this country? If nobody is actually accountable, if all we've got is hearsay, and startling hearsay, and a lot of hearsay, and no one standing up and saying, I saw it, I did it. Is this what it means? Because we can't trust the institutions here. To restore trust, there must be transparency, reform, and justice, not only for the families of the victims, but for the soldiers who adhered to the law and whose reputations are now tainted by association. Leadership needs to step forward, not just to condemn, but to ensure systematic systems are in place, that safeguards are there to prevent a repeat of such horrors, or to prevent sort of wringing of hands years later. The SAS has a storied history of valour, but history, like war, is never quite clean. The revelations of this inquiry demand not silence but action. And if Britain is to retain its moral authority, it must face these truths, however inconvenient, and commit to the hard work of reform. The question is not whether these actions define the SAS, but whether they define us, whether this is what we are as a nation moving forward.